So when you're driving in the rain as well, it's worth remembering that the rain does affect, as you can see, the view in your mirror, and so sometimes it just helps to wind your window down and then do it back up, and that kind of cleans it slightly. It gives you the better option, but you know, if you couldn't see because it was heavy rain, then just wind the window down. Better to get wet than end up in an accident. Welcome to our video on driving in the rain. So we're going to offer a few quick hints and tips that you need to do. Now it sounds weird, but the first thing that you need to actually do before you go off driving in the rain is get to know the controls of your car, because they're really important. They play a very important role in keeping safe when it's raining. So the first thing to do is to know where your windscreen wipers are and how they work. So for instance, where are they? Well, on this car, the Toyota Yaris Cross, they're on the right. But then, are they automatic? How do they work? You need to know that before it starts raining. So on this one, it's got several different controls. Now, automatic is an option, but at the moment that's set to off. Now if we flick it up once, like that, it just cleans the windscreen once and then goes off. If we knock it down one click, it becomes automatic. So now it will come on by itself depending on whether the sensor on the windscreen gets wet. But the only problem with automatic is that sometimes your view will be almost hidden, like, you know, we're getting to now. There's more and more rain on the screen, but it hasn't come on. So did you know you can set how quickly, the frequency of how often your windscreen wipers work by adjusting this bit here? So if I put that down to the bottom, that's the slowest reaction time. So that's if it's very, very light rain. It will come on once every so often, and that's about it. And as we knock it up, it will then come on quicker. So by that top one, look, if it's raining, it almost stays on. So you can knock it down one, knock it down another one, and then knock it to the slowest one. So did we know if our wipers, or do we know if our wipers actually do that as well? So you can set it to automatic, but then alter the frequency or the timing of it. And then we'll just knock that back to that one. In fact, no, that's way too much for this. So we'll keep it at that. The next click puts the wipers on just normally, like that. So when we're driving, this would now stay on. But because we're pulled up, parked up, when you come to a stop, it stops it for a while, because it kind of knows, well, if you're not moving, if you're stuck in a queue of traffic, if you're waiting at traffic lights, then you don't need always your wipers constantly moving. But if you turn it off, then back on, it overrides that and stays on for a bit. And then as you start to move, so like now, we'll wait for it to stop. Now, if we start to move, it will come on and stay on. And then the final one is on fast, where they just stay on and they're really fast. And that's really, really heavy rain. It's very rare that you'll use that, just simply because putting that on doesn't make a huge difference to everything that you see. In fact, sometimes it's just better to leave it on normal. So that's the first thing we've got to do. We've got to get to know the wipers and how they work. Then added to that, how do we clean the screen? Well, on this one, we pull it forwards towards us and then it'll automatically clean. Wipe it 3 times, then go off. Why do we say that? Well, when you're driving, once it stops raining, the residue of the water will splash on the screen and you may need to clean it. So again, it's good to know, well, how do I do that? The other top tip is remember to, if you can, change your screen wash. The reason for that is during the summer, you have the screen wash that specifically gets rid of the flies and the bugs that hit the windscreen. Whereas in the winter, or coming into the winter, you need the windscreen that won't freeze up. So as we use the Prestone one, we'll put the affiliate link in the description. And that goes down to, I think, either -5 or -10. And then you can get the extreme one, which we used when we had that beast from the east a few years ago, the really bad cold weather, where that one I think goes down to -20 before it freezes up. So even part of driving in the rain, especially coming into the winter months, do we have the right kind of screen wash as well, just for when it's needed? We understand where our wipers are. Just thought I'd mention as well, this one at the back does the back wiper. This one at the side, sorry, does the back windscreen wipe. It's good to have that on so we can actually see through the back window. So now we're moving on to the second thing that we need before we go and drive in the rain, which is to get to know our heater system. Because when it rains, the car windows will steam up. There are sometimes you've been with pupils, family members in their own car, and they're constantly wiping the front windscreen. It's like, put the demister on, put your air system on, the air vent. It's getting to know how it works. So on this one, the left button, left dial, activates the fan. This here denotes where the air comes from. So this means that it's fresh air, brings fresh air from the outside, brings it into the car. That's the one you want to keep it on. This one is recirculated air, so it basically stops the fresh air coming in from outside, recirculates the air that's already in the car. Now that's good for those really cold winter mornings when you want it to get warmer quicker, that you put it on recirculate and it just constantly, rather than draw in the cold air and try and warm it up, it's warming up the warm air that's already in the car. But the downside with that is that very quickly the windows will steam up. So if that is the case, just, you've got your air vent on, just check, do we have fresh air or am I recirculating the air? So put it onto fresh. Then we've got the direction of where we want the air to go. So that's out the vents onto you. That's more for in the summer. Your face and your feet only, windscreen and feet, or back to you. So we want to put it either on windscreen and feet, or in this car you can press front. You can keep the aircon on, which does demist the car a lot quicker, but the trouble is it means when you don't have the aircon on, it does mist up. Now a trick with that, people think it's not for use in cold weather, but you can put the aircon on and just turn the temperature up and it'll still feel fresh in the car, but your windows won't steam up, or if you need them to demist very quickly. But generally we tend to keep the aircon off because it just kind of leaves a film, and then the car does kind of steam up quite quickly then. So we just use this, and as you can see, works really well. Now, using the one that comes out also activates your air vents. So now we've got a really strong gush of air coming out of this side vent, which, as you can see, you can alter this and it's directed onto the window. So it keeps your window and, you know, your mirror fairly clear that you can see out of it. When you go onto front, you can feel the air coming out of there still, but it's just not as strong. So try your car, get to know which direction works best. So we put it on front, we put the air onto fresh. Now we can just adjust how fast the air comes out, and we know that constantly now is coming up onto the screen, keeping it clear. Because the last thing you want to do is have the screen messed up when it's hard enough to see anyway. But by getting to know the controls and how it works, even with the side vents here, so on front there's a really strong gush of wind coming out of these vents here. You've got the side vents as well to help, and that keeps the windows, as you can see, just nice and perfectly clear without having to worry. The next tip when it's raining is put your headlights on. Now you have to manually do this. So this car, look, has got automatic headlights, but as you can see, they're not on. If I just turn the side lights on, see that? Tells you your lights are on. Now our vision is restricted. It's hard to see. Now, can you see the difference when cars have their headlights on? Let's just wind this down. So you can see, like with this car, even if I've got rain on my windows, on my mirror, I can see him quite clearly. I know he's there. But also, even with bad vision on the windscreen, I can see the rear lights as well. And that's the trouble. If you've got daytime running lights, which is just the front one, like this car coming, they're the bright ones, yeah, those are on, but you've got nothing at the back. And sometimes that's more of a concern, is the vehicles behind, can they see me that I'm there? Because as the rain increases, you know, that can get harder for people to spot. So it's always a good idea, just if your vision is restricted in any way, if it's raining, it's always better to put the lights on, and then everyone can see you, not only ahead of you, but behind you as well. Although ours are automatic, it's still a case of turning them on fully so that the headlights are now on. Then everyone coming down those slip roads, pulling out of roads and junctions, can see us coming, and everybody behind us can see where we are as well. Now there's a do not. Some people, when it rains, thinks, oh, I'll put the fog lights on as well. The trouble is, the fog lights are very bright, and very often they can be below the brake lights, so they can cause a problem in the fact that when you brake, people, without being aware, find it hard sometimes to make the distinction between the fog light being on and now your brake light coming on as well, because they're kind of the same intensity. So don't keep your fog lights on, or don't put your fog lights on when it's raining. Let your brake lights do the work. That's what they're designed for, so that you can see with that car in front. Then, even without the wipers being on, we can see clearly his brake lights have come on, and then we're aware of it. So that's a do not. So once we've done that, we know our wipers, we know our wiper setup. Let's put that back onto there. And then we'll get ready to drive on. We'll turn the back wiper on as well. And remember, if you get in and the car's steaming up, just turn that on full. Put it all on front. Another tip, if your windscreen is frozen or it's really steamed up, put your sun visor down. Then the air coming through these vents at the front hits the visor and kind of bounces back down the screen, which will clean it twice as fast as just leaving it up. You can set the temperature up to high. That'll help clear it as well. If the windows are steaming up, put them on. So put it on maximum, put the temperature on high, and then it will just start to demist it really quickly. For the rear, if it fogs up, gets misted up, just press your rear demister, but don't forget to turn that one off, because otherwise it doesn't automatically turn off. So we're just going to turn that down, because otherwise we'll start to bake, because it's not that cold that we need it on full, and the car's not that misted. So we've got the air coming through there fairly fast. In fact, let's just put the camera there. Don't know if you can hear that at all or not. There's an interesting experiment. Okay, so we'll get ready to drive off. So our headlights are on, our wipers are on, and then we can go. And that's our guide for quick tips driving in the rain. My name's Chris from Driver Training Limited. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Remember, keep well, drive safely, and we'll see you all again in our next video.